Last month, I went to the mecca of investing, the Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting. And I did it to get advice from the world's greatest living investor, Warren Buffett, before that he retired. And you know what? He actually said a few things that took me by surprise. In this video, I'm gonna share with you the golden nuggets that Warren dropped so that you don't have to fly all the way out to Nebraska yourself. You're welcome. All right, let's dive in. Starting with number one, preparation versus patience. So there was a 14-year-old boy that asked a question and he said, Warren, when do you practice patience? Like, is it more important to be patient as an investor, or since I'm 14 years old, should I be more quick to act? And Warren very quickly said, you do not want to be patient when it is time to act. So patience is actually something that is overrated as in investors in his mind. He said that it's more important to be prepared. So preparation over patience. When you're prepared, when you have the right things, well then, now when the opportunity comes, you're already prepared and it's time to act on that opportunity. There were many times in Warren Buffett's life where he got the phone call, he made the trade, he bought the company, and that's how he became the greatest investor ever, because he had all the documents, all the capital, all of the education necessary to recognize it and then be able to take advantage of that opportunity. Okay, number two, risk is education based. Stay in your lane. So I went with a buddy, and my buddy told me the story about when Tim Ferriss, the best-selling author of the 4-Hour Workweek, went to the Berkshire Hathaway conference. And so this didn't happen the time I was there, but it did happen at a time. And so Tim Ferriss, a very successful entrepreneur, sold a company for a multi-million-dollar exit in his 30s. And he flew all the way to the Berkshire Hathaway conference. He was able to manipulate a way to get in line to ask a question to Warren Buffett. And the question he asked was, I've done well in my 30s, I've sold a company, now I want to get into investing. So what would you recommend I do to become a great investor? And Warren Buffett very quickly said, why are you trying to be an investor? Do not switch lanes. You've obviously got a skill, you've done well for yourself. Don't try to compete with guys like me who have decades of experience. You're gonna lose. Go back to competing with what you're great at and invest your money in like an indexed annuity fund. That really hit home to me because in Naval Ravikant, who's another very successful entrepreneur, he talks about specified knowledge. And so if you really want to win in life, you have to have specified knowledge that you're great at. And then you maximize the leverage and the return on your time in that industry of whatever you have specified knowledge for. And so for me, that's real estate. And for you, whatever you're great at, double down on that, and then you can let the people who are great at investing do the rest. Okay, next takeaway was number three, turn every page. So someone asked Warren how he became so successful. And he said, very simply, he turned every page. Now, what did that mean? Initially for him, he grew up in Omaha here, and he went to the Omaha Public Library. And he was one of the only people he knew that went to the library and read every single book there was on investing. And he didn't just read the book, he turned every page. He read the beginning, the intro, the actual story, and the end, and the notes, and the notes. So he turned every page so that he could have the full grasp on everything that he could. Now, he took this habit of turning every page, and he did that utilizing it in business. So he would buy businesses by reading all of the business's tax returns, the P&Ls, the balance sheets. He would turn every page on the business so that he fully understood it before he bought it. And so taking that habit, it's a lot easier to de-risk your investments, your life, your business, when you understand all the information. So don't skim, turn every page. Number four, size is the enemy of performance. So there was a question asked to Warren about some investments that he considered making. And these investments were between $50 to $100 million size companies. And Warren just said, there are so many opportunities at that size level, but that size level is just too small to make a dent in Berkshire Hathaway's balance sheet. And so Warren does not look for anything that's less than 10 billion to make an investment. And to give you context, he has 360 billion in cash right now, just on the sidelines. So what he says is size is the enemy of performance. It's very difficult for him at this size, at this level, to find a very, very good opportunity. Because the bigger you get, the harder it is to find something that makes sense for that size. The more sophisticated people get, it's just harder to find those opportunities. And that gave me hope, right? And that should give you hope too, unless you're at 360 billion in cash. It's easier for us to find awesome opportunities as we are smaller because they're all out there. We just have to be able to recognize them and then have the speed of the preparation to be able to act on them. Number 5, real estate versus stocks. Now, this is a hot topic, and especially in my mind, because I'm a real estate guy. But someone asked him, Warren, why don't you own more real estate? Why don't you do more real estate deals? And he responded with, Charlie was a guy that did more real estate. I don't enjoy real estate. Here's why. To him, this is Warren's words, real estate is slow and it's got a lot more brain damage than stock investing. Now, in Warren's mind, and really it is true, in real estate, you negotiate something, you sign a contract, and then there's a lot more due diligence that happens. You know, there's inspections, there's appraisals, and in Warren's words, the negotiation starts after the contract is signed. And it's very true in real estate. You know, transactions can get dragged out to typically 1 to 2 months, and it could be all the way up to, 3 to 12 months. So in real estate, there's a lot of negotiating that happens versus Warren very much prefers being able to pick up a phone and within 5 minutes buy the stock in the business and the transaction is done just like that. And so Warren has the opportunities where he has those coming into him. He can just make the quick phone call, he can sign the papers, he can do the due diligence, and it's a lot easier for him. Again, remember, he has specified knowledge. And so his specified knowledge very much benefits him in the stock investing world. My specified knowledge benefits me in the real estate world. Again, you got to ask yourself, where is your specified knowledge? And then apply it to what's going to make the most return for you. Number 6, be careful about who you're around and who you work for. Multiple times in the conference, people asked Warren how he became who he became. And multiple times he gave the response, I became who I was because of who I hung out with. I had a lot of divine help and a lot of divine intervention, but Warren had 4 bosses in his life. And he said every single one of them he enjoyed, but he just couldn't stop. He couldn't work for them forever. There's just something in him that he knew he was meant for more and he couldn't work for someone else. So, but the important part here was that the 4 bosses that he had in his life, every single one had habits that were positive habits that got instilled into Warren. So he took the best from every single one because certain habits will rub off on you. And when you're young, it's especially important to be careful about who you work for. For me personally, I had a job that I failed at right out of college, and it was terrible. I didn't have any positive boss instilling positive habits in me. I was literally just given leads and said, good luck, and I failed. Then I moved and I worked for a $100 million a year company that had a ton of great systems, and I had a manager that really cared about me. And that manager I considered to be a mentor. And at the time, he really instilled all of the skill sets that I needed to be successful in that job, and then I took to be successful in business. So I can tell you from a fact, it is really important about who your manager is and who you're working for. You must be a part of a company that has awesome systems. It will exponentiate your learning curve and really benefit you over the long term. All right, number 7, this is a cool story about how to get people's time. So when Warren was a young investor, he would fly all over the country and he would try to get in front of CEOs. And he would get in front of CEOs very, very frequently. And he did it with this simple concept. So he would walk up to the front desk, he'd ask for a meeting, a 10-minute meeting with the CEO, which was always very busy of the company, right? And then what he would do is he'd bring an hourglass and he would set that hourglass up on the desk as soon as he sat down with the CEO, letting the CEO know this is a 10-minute hourglass. As soon as this is up, we will stop talking, we will conclude. I want to respect your time. I know you're a busy man. And that just set the frame for then the next part of the conversation. So the next part of the conversation, Warren would then say, hey, if you were to buy a stock in one of your competitors, what competitor would it be and why? And so then the CEO would just sit back and they'd talk about how there's other companies that are doing great things, and Warren would start to understand the industry. And as soon as he'd do that, about 5 minutes later, he would ask the CEO, if you were to short a stock in one of your competitors, which stock would you short? Meaning, which competitor is going under and why? And again, the CEO loves talking about their competition and how bad their competition is, and you just get them going on this. Warren would be able to soak up all this information and build rapport. And usually what would happen, Warren said, is that at the end of the hourglass running out, the CEO had been talking for the next 10 minutes, and the CEO would not ask him to leave. He would actually ask Warren to stay so they could conversate more. And Warren bought a lot of companies doing that method. Number 8, work hard and love to contribute. So pretty self-explanatory, but another question of the conference was, how do I become a part of Berkshire? Like, how do I be a part of an organization that's so awesome and well ran like yours? And he said, if you work hard and you love to contribute, there's no surplus of individuals like that in the world. So it's really important for people to just work hard and love to contribute. If you do, you will stand out. And when you stand out, there's a high chance you get gobbled up by good companies that are looking for top talent. So set yourself apart by being top talent. I know for me, there's a book called So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cam Newport. And I read that book when I was working at my job for my $100 million a year company. And I took that very seriously. I was able to, my first year I was the bottom of the barrel for sales. My next year I was the top third, and then the third year I was number 1, and the fourth year I was number 1, not just in the company, but in the network of 350 other companies. And so I became so good, it was difficult for the company to ignore me. And I got a lot of flexibility because of it, and I made a lot of money because of it. And so you just have to work hard. It doesn't happen year 1, right? For me, it happened year 1, I worked hard and I improved. And then year 2, I improved immensely. And year 3, I improved immensely. So this takes work and it takes time, but if you do it over time and you love to contribute, you fall in love with the process, I promise you're gonna fall in love with the results that happen. Okay, and then the last one, number 9. This is one of my favorite ones and it's so true, is you only have to get it right once. So in business, you have so many multiple attempts and you only have to get it right once. It's the beauty of it. He talks about, questions were asked about how do you know what to do there, what to do there? And Warren's just very open with he probably has more bad investments than he does good investments. But some of the good investments just really hit it hard and hit it home run. And he's hit a lot of home runs over his life, but he only had to hit one to really make it. The reason why he's so great is because he's hit so many home runs over the course of his 60 plus years of investing. But the beauty about it is for you and I, if we're not trying to get to 350 billion in cash, we only have to get it right once. And that just means you just have to build a business and you only have to build it once that works. Now in real estate, you're probably not gonna become a billionaire by doing one real estate investment unless you're doing huge investments. However, if you're building a business or if you're investing in real estate, just keep doing it. Keep getting the reps, and as you get the reps in, you're gonna get better and better and better. You'll hit some home runs, you'll hit some singles, you might strike out a few times, but that's okay. It's natural. We've all struck out. We've all struck out. But all we have to do is get it right once, and then life can change. And that's the beauty of this life. So take that with you. Okay, that's a wrap for this video. That is all of my takeaways from the greatest investor that ever lived, Warren Buffett. Hopefully you guys liked this video. If you did, leave a like, hit the subscribe button. I'm gonna continue to make these videos for you guys. And if you're into business and you believe in God, then there's a video you should really watch. Check out this video in the link below.